I never thought I'd be the kind of wife who craved attention outside of my marriage. But there I was, standing in front of my bedroom mirror, twisting my hair in a loose curl and trying to figure out which dress made me look the least predictable. The red one was risky, too obvious maybe. The black one was classic, but safe. In the end, I went with a navy dress that hugged me just enough to make me feel noticed without screaming for attention. Lena, my friend and partner in crime for the night, had already picked her sparkly gold number and was flitting around my room, giving me exaggerated fashion commentary. "Honestly, Sarah," she said, pointing at the dress, "this one's perfect. Not too much, but enough that heads will turn. You're not just another wallflower tonight." I laughed, though a part of me felt guilty even thinking about turning heads. I guess, I just feel like I need a little excitement. You know how it is with Michael. Sweet, reliable, wonderful. But sometimes I feel like I'm just another part of the furniture. Lena smirked knowingly. "Honey, tonight's not about furniture. Tonight's about fun. Just play a little, flirt a little, see what happens." That thought made me uneasy and thrilled at the same time. Michael would never approve, of course. He was the calm, steady type. Thoughtful, dependable, a rock in my life. But sometimes that rock felt too solid, too unmovable. I needed a little instability, a little thrill. I tried to justify it to myself as harmless, a harmless distraction, a night of harmless fun. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. We got to the party around 9. The house was buzzing with music, laughter, and the faint smell of wine and perfume. People milled around, chatting, drinking, dancing. I could feel the energy hit me the moment I walked in, my heart beating a little faster than usual. Lena dragged me straight to the living room, where a small group of people was gathered, and that's when I saw him. Josh. Josh from work. Tall, dark hair falling just right over his forehead, easy grin, and that casual charm that made him look like he knew exactly how to make people feel special. I'd flirted with him at work before, small touches, teasing comments, lunchroom banter, but this was different. Here, we weren't at work. Here, we were free. "Sarah," Lena whispered, nodding toward him. "Go on. He's staring." I felt my stomach flip. I told myself it was nothing, just playful. But as I approached, I realized I was enjoying the nervous flutter in my chest. "Hey," I said, trying for casual, resting my hand lightly on the back of the couch. "Didn't expect to see you here tonight." Josh smiled, and that smile, it was electric. "Yeah, a friend invited me last minute, but I'm glad I came now." His gaze lingered, just a fraction too long to be purely friendly. We ended up talking, leaning slightly closer to each other as the music played around us. He made a joke about work, something about me always stealing the last cookie from the break room. And I laughed, maybe a little too easily. My fingers brushed his arm by accident, or maybe not by accident, and I felt a jolt of thrill. "You've got a wicked sense of humor," he said, eyes twinkling. "I like that." I smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "I like people who notice the little things," I said, trying to sound casual. But I wasn't casual. I could feel the tension in my chest, the heat creeping up my neck. Every laugh, every brush of our hands was a little spark. At one point, Lena came back, a tray of drinks in hand, and gave me a look that was half warning, half encouragement. "Be careful, Sarah." Or, "Don't." I laughed nervously because honestly, I didn't know which way to take it. My mind kept racing back to Michael, to the steady life I had with him. And then, just for a second, I imagined him here. How disappointed he'd be, how betrayed. But that thought was fleeting. Because in that same fleeting second, I felt alive. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt completely noticed, desired, dangerous. We moved closer to the dance floor, the music pulsing in my chest, and I let myself sway just a little, letting Josh mirror my movements. It was innocent, just dancing. Or at least, that's what I told myself. His hand brushed mine again, our shoulders bumped. The proximity made my heart hammer. "You're trouble," he said with a smirk. "And you like trouble," I replied, my voice quieter than I intended, almost a whisper. And that was it. Just a whisper. But it felt like the first step off a cliff. Later, when Lena went to check on some other friends, Josh leaned in close, and I realized that my pulse was out of control. I told myself again, this was just fun. Just flirtation, nothing more. But every laugh, every touch, every glance was slowly rewriting the rules I'd lived by. By the time I noticed the clock, it was already past 11. People were pairing off, disappearing into quieter rooms, laughing in corners. I was still on the dance floor, still lost in the thrill of the attention, the rush of doing something forbidden, even if just in my head. I didn't know it yet, but Michael had already come. Quiet, unassuming, watching me from the hallway, invisible but fully aware. And I, blissfully unaware, kept playing the part of the mischievous, fun-loving woman, oblivious to the storm that was silently observing me, ready to erupt. But in that moment, all I felt was the pulse of the music, the heat of his glance, and the intoxicating, terrible thrill of flirting with someone who wasn't my husband. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it didn't mean anything. I told myself that Michael would never find out, and deep down, I knew I was already lying. After a while, the crowd thinned out a bit, and the music slowed down. I found myself standing next to Josh in a quieter corner of the house, where the shadows made it feel like the party didn't exist. His presence was magnetic, impossible to ignore, and I felt my heartbeat spike every time he leaned a little closer. So, he said, tilting his head with a mischievous grin, what do you usually do when you escape from Michael's schedule? I laughed nervously, brushing my hair back with my fingers. Schedule? I teased. I don't know, maybe I just need a little adventure sometimes. You know, a break from reality. Josh's eyes darkened slightly, and he smiled knowingly. I get that. Sometimes you just need someone who notices you. Really notices you. The way he said it sent a shiver down my spine. I told myself it was just words, harmless flirtation. But I knew better. It wasn't just words. It was recognition, attention, something I had been craving for a long time. And Michael. Michael had always been steady, predictable, safe. But safe sometimes felt like invisible. We laughed at a shared joke, and our shoulders brushed again. I could feel the tension building, the heat between us growing stronger with every passing second. I tried to rationalize it in my head. It's just a little fun. He's attractive. It's a one-night thing. Michael doesn't have to know. Josh leaned even closer, and I caught the faint scent of his cologne. It was intoxicating. You're different than I imagined, he said softly. More alive. I swallowed hard, feeling my lips part slightly. I guess? I don't know. Maybe I've just been waiting to feel noticed. His hand brushed mine, not forcefully, not aggressively, but in that simple, deliberate way that made my stomach drop. I knew I was crossing a line, but I couldn't stop. Every nerve in my body was alert, alive, craving the attention. You're playing with fire, Sarah, he whispered, his voice low and smooth. And maybe I like it, I murmured back, barely above a whisper. We laughed nervously, but it was the kind of laugh that had a tremor of danger, the thrill of doing something forbidden. My mind was a mess of rationalizations. Michael would never know. It's just flirting, it's just one night, it doesn't mean anything. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. We stepped further into the hallway, away from the main crowd. The music faded into the background, replaced by the soft hum of the house. Josh looked at me, a small, uncertain smile tugging at his lips. You're different with me, he said. I mean, you're fun. But there's something more. Something real. I felt my heart thump violently. I should have pulled away. I should have told him this was wrong. But instead, I let myself be drawn in. Maybe I just needed someone to see me, I said quietly, my voice trembling slightly. His hand found mine again, and we stood there, close enough to feel each other's warmth. I could feel the line blurring, could sense that I was on the edge of something that would change everything. Every rational thought screamed at me to stop. Every impulse begged me to continue. Josh's gaze lingered on me, and I felt my knees weaken slightly. "You're incredible," he whispered. I laughed softly, trying to hide the nervous tremor in my voice. "Stop! You're making this worse." And then, in a moment of boldness I couldn't explain, I let him guide me to the staircase that led to the upper rooms. My pulse was racing, my breath quickening. I tried to rationalize it. "It's just a room. No one will see us. It's nothing." We paused at the top of the stairs, and I felt a strange mixture of fear and exhilaration. He leaned closer, and I felt my resolve weakening. It was almost impossible to think clearly. The world had narrowed down to just us. Our shared glances, our shared breaths, the electricity between us. "Are you sure about this?" he asked softly, searching my eyes. I think so," I whispered, and I meant it in that moment. My mind was clouded with adrenaline, desire, and the dangerous thrill of being seen in a way I hadn't been in years. We didn't go further than holding each other, touching lightly, but that was enough. Enough to know that we had crossed a boundary, enough to feel the weight of what I had done. And yet, it felt addictive, like a forbidden taste I couldn't resist. Eventually, I remembered Lena and the party downstairs. I straightened my dress, smoothed my hair, and whispered, "I should go back." Josh nodded, a faint regret in his expression. "Yeah, we'll see what happens later." I returned downstairs, trying to compose myself, trying to pretend nothing had happened. I laughed at jokes, danced with others, and smiled at people, but my mind kept replaying the upstairs moment, the closeness, the touch, the thrill. I told myself it was over, that I could still control it, that it hadn't really gone far. But the truth was, I had already crossed a line. And the thrill of it, the danger of it, made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years with Michael. I didn't notice him at first. Michael was standing by the hallway, in the shadows, quietly observing me. I didn't see him, didn't sense his presence, but there he was, watching, waiting. And I, completely unaware, continued my little game, thinking I was invisible, untouchable, justified in my actions. The night continued, and the music pulsed, people mingled, and I felt untethered. I had tasted danger, and it was intoxicating. I told myself it was just a fling of the night, just a harmless adventure. And yet, a small nagging voice in the back of my mind whispered, "You're playing with fire, and he's already seen the sparks." I didn't notice him at first. Michael had been quiet, almost invisible, watching me from the hallway. But when I returned from upstairs, brushing a loose curl behind my ear and laughing at something Josh said, I felt it. The weight of his gaze. It was heavy, loaded, impossible to ignore. He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at me, his expression unreadable, and then he turned and walked away. I froze, a cold, sinking feeling creeping into my stomach. My pulse spiked. Something was wrong. "Michael," I called, but he didn't answer. Panic clawed at me as I realized he must have seen everything. The upstairs, the touch, the way I had let myself be drawn in. My heart raced, my hands shaking slightly. I dropped my drink on the carpet, the sound startlingly loud in the quiet hallway. I ran after him. "Michael! Wait!" He didn't turn. He walked to the front door, paused, then stepped outside into the night air. I caught up with him, my breath coming in short gasps. "Please, talk to me." He finally looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it. The hurt, the disbelief, the kind of quiet anger that cuts deeper than yelling ever could. "I saw everything," he said softly, but the words carried more weight than any scream could. "All of it. You, Josh, upstairs. I saw you." The world spun. My lips parted, but no words came out immediately. I tried to speak, to justify, to explain, but everything felt clumsy and inadequate. It wasn't. I didn't mean for it to. Didn't mean for it to what? His voice was low, trembling, but deadly calm. "Didn't mean for it to betray me. Didn't mean for it to ruin everything we've built." Tears pricked my eyes, but I blinked them away. I hated that I had put us here, in this place, at this moment. Michael, please, Stop. He held up a hand and I obeyed instantly. Stop explaining. I don't want excuses, Sarah. I don't want reasons. I saw you. That's all I need. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my shaking hands. It wasn't like that. I mean, yes, I went upstairs with him, but it didn't go further. I didn't. You went upstairs with him? He repeated, voice tight with emotion. You let someone else touch you, flirt with you, and you didn't even think about me. You didn't think about us. I was lonely, Michael, I said finally, my voice trembling. I love you, I do. But sometimes I feel invisible. I needed, I don't know, attention. I didn't think it would hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. His jaw clenched. You didn't think? You didn't think about me at all? I was weak, I admitted, feeling shame and fear knot together in my chest. I wanted to feel alive again. I wasn't thinking clearly. It's not about him. It's about me. About what I've been missing. Michael shook his head, looking away for a moment before turning back. Do you know how that feels? To watch the person you trust, the person you love, just betray you? To see it happen right in front of you and not be able to stop it? I couldn't. I had no answer. I opened my mouth, but nothing I could say would undo what I'd done. I'm sorry, I whispered, tears slipping down my cheeks now. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't think. I don't know. I needed something I wasn't getting. Enough, he said sharply. I don't want to hear it. I saw it, Sarah. That's enough. I can't just pretend this didn't happen. I swallowed hard, nodding, feeling my heart break. I had always thought if I just explained, if I just said the right words, he'd understand. But now I saw the truth. Some things couldn't be undone by words. Some things could never be forgiven easily. Michael, please, I whispered again, reaching for his hand. He flinched slightly, then stepped back. I love you. I want to fix this. I swear. Please don't walk away from us. He shook his head, tears glistening in his eyes. I don't know if we can fix this. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. You made your choice tonight, Sarah. You chose him. And I can't just pretend that didn't happen. The finality in his voice hit me like a punch. I wanted to scream, to cry, to beg him to understand. But he had seen everything. There were no words left. The night stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. I didn't mean for it to go this far, I whispered, my voice breaking. I thought it was just flirting. I thought it wouldn't matter. I made a mistake. You made a choice, he corrected softly, his voice almost hollow. And now we live with it. I saw it all, Sarah. I can't unsee it. I can't pretend I didn't see the person I love, the person I trusted, choose someone else, even for a moment. Not you. Not like this. I fell silent, tears streaming freely now. The gravity of what I had done, what I had caused, pressed down on me like a weight I could never lift. I had justified it in my mind, told myself it was harmless, that it was just a moment of weakness. But in reality, I had destroyed something fundamental. Michael turned to leave, and I grabbed his arm. Please, just talk to me. Let me explain. Let me do something to fix this. He shook his head, voice low and steady. There's nothing to fix right now, Sarah. You can't erase what happened. Not tonight, not ever. I need time. I need space. I can't be here, not like this. Not after what I saw. And with that, he walked away into the night, leaving me standing in the hallway, shaking, crying, completely alone. I sank to the floor, my heart pounding, my mind spinning. The truth was undeniable. I had crossed a line. I had betrayed the man I loved, the man who trusted me with everything. And now, there was no turning back. No apologies, no excuses could bring it back. I realized then that my life, my marriage, the steady, safe life I had taken for granted, it was over. The next morning, the house was quiet. Michael hadn't come home. The night before replayed in my mind like a broken record, every detail sharper than I wanted it to be. The sound of him walking away, the look in his eyes, the weight of betrayal, it was all there, lingering in the corners of the room. I had imagined myself apologizing, making things right, but now the reality felt heavier than any words could carry. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, feeling the sting of every choice I had made. I knew I had crossed a line, and I had no one to blame but myself. There was no denying it anymore. My excuses from last night, the loneliness, the desire to feel alive, the craving for attention, they sounded hollow now, even to me. I had hurt the person who loved me most in the world, and nothing could take it back. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lena. "Are you okay? Did anything happen last night?" I stared at it, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. How could I explain without making it worse? How could I confess without completely shattering what little was left? I typed and deleted a response several times, finally leaving it blank. Some things couldn't be shared. Some things had consequences that had to be faced alone. Around noon, Michael finally returned. I was in the kitchen, making coffee I couldn't taste, when I heard the front door open. He stepped in silently, his movements measured. I froze, feeling the tension coil in my chest. "Hi," I said softly, almost a whisper. He didn't respond immediately. He just set his bag down and leaned against the counter, his expression unreadable. I wanted to reach out, to touch him, to say something that might fix this, but I didn't. My hands were trembling too much. I started, but he cut me off. "Don't," he said firmly. "I need to know if you understand what you've done." "I do," I whispered. "Michael, I understand. You don't just understand, Sarah," he interrupted, his voice shaking slightly. "You destroyed something between us. You chose someone else, even if just for a night. You let me see it, and now I can't see you the same way." Tears pricked my eyes again. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I wasn't thinking. I made a mistake. I—" "Stop apologizing," he said, voice taut. "Apologies don't fix this. They don't erase what I saw. They don't bring back trust." I felt my chest tighten. "So, what happens now?" I asked softly, my voice barely audible. He looked at me for a long moment, his eyes filled with pain and disappointment. "I don't know if we can stay together, Sarah. I need time to think. I need to figure out if I can ever forgive this. If I can ever trust you again." I nodded silently, the finality of his words sinking in. I had imagined so many possible outcomes, him forgiving me, us talking it out, moving past it. But none of that was happening. The reality was stark and painful. I had broken something fundamental, and it might never be repairable. "I understand," I whispered, tears spilling freely now. "I'll give you the space you need." He didn't say anything else. He just left the kitchen, leaving me alone with the weight of my actions. I slumped against the counter, feeling hollow, numb, and utterly defeated. For the first time, I realized the full cost of my choices. It wasn't just the thrill, the excitement, the rush of being noticed. It was the life I had, the love I had that I could no longer take for granted. Later that day, I went through the house, picking up little things, trying to distract myself. The coffee cup I had spilled, the cushion I had knocked over, the faint smell of Josh's cologne lingering in the air. All of it reminded me of my mistake. I couldn't escape it. Every corner, every shadow, was a reminder of what I had done. I thought about Michael, about the way he looked at me last night, the way he walked away, the way he spoke this morning. I thought about the trust I had shattered, the love I had betrayed. And for the first time, I truly understood that some things could never be undone. Some actions had consequences that weren't just temporary. They were permanent. By evening, Michael came back into the living room. He sat on the couch, a distance away from me, his hands clasped together. I sat down as well, careful not to touch him. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. "I think we need to accept that things have changed," he said finally, his voice quiet but steady. "I don't know if we can go back to the way things were. I don't know if I can ever see you the same way again." I nodded, swallowing hard. I understand. I'll accept whatever you need. He looked at me for a long time, then stood. I think it's best if we take some time apart. I need to figure out if I can even continue this marriage. And you need to think about why this happened and if you're willing to face the consequences. I didn't argue. I couldn't. I had created this reality, and I had to live with it. I'll do that, I whispered. He left the room, and I sat there, staring at the floor, feeling like I had been stripped of everything I thought mattered. The marriage, the trust, the shared life. It all felt fragile, like glass shattered beyond repair. And I knew, deep down, that nothing could put it back together. That night, I lay in bed alone, replaying the past few hours over and over. I thought about Josh, about the thrill, the excitement, and the mistake. I thought about Michael, about his face, his voice, the quiet devastation in his eyes. And I realized with a clarity I hadn't had before that I had crossed a line from which there was no return. I had wanted excitement. I had wanted attention. I had wanted to feel alive. But in chasing that, I had destroyed the one thing that had truly mattered. The house was silent, and I finally allowed myself to cry. Not just for the thrill I had lost, not just for the adrenaline, but for everything I had broken. For the life I had taken for granted, and for the love that might never come back. And in that silence, I understood that some choices are permanent. Some mistakes can't be erased, and some consequences must be faced alone.